Welcome to Looking at Legal Stuff. Today we have 3 hearings with a couple where mom has been placed on supervised visitation due to suspected drug use, and she's been ordered to take a hair follicle test. It seems like everyone in this case, including Dad, wants mom to have more visitation, but she needs to be clean and sober for that. So what will the results of her hair follicle test show us? Let's watch and see.
All right, next, Caitlin Steyer and Kimball Wilson. I know Mr. Wilson's here.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right.
There we go.
So I think I wanted this hearing to check in on compliance with my last bench order. Let me go through the points on it. So Ms. Steyer is here. Good. So I wanted Kiara transferred to Mr. Wilson's care. Has that occurred?
Yes.
Yeah, she's been in my care.
And then have there been any visitations with Ms. Steyer since December? And how have those been going?
They all went good besides one.
Are they supervised by, I guess, your
mother?
Okay. All right. And then I wanted to see a 12-panel hair follicle test. Was that done?
No, just because I didn't know where to go, so I've been calling around, and the cheapest is $380, and I cannot afford $380. I just started. I'm barely a month into my new job. I just got a job at Miller's Market. I'm trying to even make my rent right now, so I couldn't do the hair follicle.
Okay. Ms. Height, any comment?
Thank you, Your Honor. I did have contact with the visitation supervisor, who is Karen Dykstra, and she reported to me that on the January 2nd visit, there was quite a bit of upset, that mom was, as she put it, nodding off and essentially, as I'm quoting her, essentially passing out over and over. And at that time, the child was in a high chair being fed by mom, but she was having trouble staying engaged with her. So the supervisor contacted Dad. He came to pick the child up, and there was, sounds like a fairly escalated verbal confrontation that occurred. And at that point, Karen Dykstra said she was not going to do any more visits. It was just too difficult. She apparently relented on that, because I heard from her again yesterday, and she said there had been 2 visits subsequent to that one, and that in both of those visits, mom had been on time, she had been awake, she'd been engaged, and she felt like the visits had gone better. So I think that's moving in the right direction. Obviously, there are still some concerns there.
Can I say something
Yes.
regarding to that?
Please go ahead.
So regarding to that visit, I'm working graveyard. I work 4 graveyard shifts a week. Monday is my Friday, and I had stayed up. I worked all Sunday night, stayed up Monday because I didn't want to miss my daughter's visit, which is at 6 to 8 at night. So I mean, it's not like I'm trying to nod off or anything, but I also I'm obviously been up 24 hours prior to my visit, and those are the only times that are open for the person supervising and for Kimball's work schedule and so on and so forth. I'm just trying to be able to see my daughter, and I mean, obviously I'm working around their time, so which is fine. It's just me working graveyard, it's a little hard. I'm trying to still get used to it. I'm trying my best. I mean,
Yeah.
I just want to be a part of my daughter's life.
Sounds like, Mr. Wilson, that you're okay that after that time, there's been 2 additional visits that have gone okay.
Yeah, I don't want to keep my daughter from her mom, but I did what I felt was right, if that makes sense. I mean,
Which
I
was
would
go pick her up.
pick her up and tell Caitlin that that visit was over and she could try again next week or the next visit or whatever, however I phrased it at that point. I don't know, trying to be protective of her and trying to find the middle ground and trying to work out life and everything.
Sure. Ms. Hyatt, the court still needs a drug test. Are there any other alternatives to a 12-panel hair follicle and to avoid the cost?
I wish there were sources available for that. I know of none. I think it's important that we have that hair follicle test. As I indicated in my report, if there needs to be a wait until she believes she's going to have a clean one, I don't think there's any point in her spending the money to go have a hair follicle test if she believes it's going to come back dirty, which when I talked with her, she thought it probably would. So if some time needs to pass what I want is for her to have a hair follicle test and for her to be successful in that, to have a clean one. So if some time needs to pass, I don't feel like there needs to be a specific deadline to do that. But until we get that, I do believe that we need to continue with supervision. And as far as the schedule, I realize the schedule, you're fitting together several pieces of a puzzle to try to find a good time for visitation. But when someone gets off of graveyard shift, my understanding is these visits are happening in the evening. There's a whole day to catch up on sleep or to have rest, so that she can have a quality visit with her daughter, which I know she wants.
Well, I'm satisfied that we're moving in the right direction. The last 2 visits apparently were okay. There appears to be one where Ms. Steyer was overly tired and that resulted in some issues. But I'm glad, after 2 visits beyond that, I think it looks like we're still on track. Ms. Hyatt is right. I don't know that I can order unsupervised visits until I get a clean hair follicle test. And that means you may have to work a little while at Miller's Market in order to save that money if you can.
Can I add a side note? I'm sorry. I did sign up for I have an appointment for a drug evaluation next Wednesday. So I don't know what that, like, if that particularly means anything, but I am trying to also do that as well because I remember that being in the bench warrant, or not bench warrant, but bench statement from last time. So I did do that. My grief counselor recently switched positions within the building, so she's no longer my counselor. So now I'm also seeking a new grief counselor. I'm still calling around. I'm still trying to find what facilities will take my insurance. So I'm still trying to do that as well.
Okay.
Trying to get these things done.
Okay, I appreciate that. We should set a review in this case. And again, Ms. Haidt, do you have a sense of how far out we should go?
It seems that we would need to have that, some more information on her substance abuse evaluation, as well as hopefully some progress with the hair follicle. Again, I don't want to keep supervised visits any longer than are necessary, but I don't think without that we can go forward. So I would say 6 to 8 weeks probably is going to be the most realistic time frame. It seems like a long time, but I don't know. I don't know if we could come back with any significant information prior to that.
I do have a quick question, if possible. I was wondering if I could possibly get an extra day a week with visiting my daughter. I mean, I'm okay with it being supervised. Is there a possible way I can get an extra day?
Mr. Wilson, any comment on that?
Every time I do this, I'm losing out on money. I lose out on money from court. I'm staying late on Tuesdays after work so I can do that parenting plan. My first class was yesterday. Or not parenting plan, but you told me I had to go to the parenting classes. So
Right.
I'm going to Parents' Place on 23rd. It's over by Kessler School or whatever. All I do is work. I mean, like, if it would be possible or something when I pick Kiara up from her babysitter, I don't know if Caitlin would be comfortable with me just sitting at the house with her and Kiara or not. I don't know if that would create fights. I'd be willing to try that for a little bit. I'm just locked down for time. If that makes sense.
I'm a little concerned about that because your relationship was fairly combustible, as I recall. So right now I'm going to say no extra time. I want to come back on February 22nd, and assuming everything has been going well till then I do want to find some extra time at that point. Okay. And eventually, I mean, looking down the road, assuming we've got a negative hair follicle test, assuming we go through, the SUG assessment and do whatever treatment is required, if any, I see a fairly normal plan where there is certainly a lot more visitation to Ms. Steyer than there is now. But we need to take these steps to make sure that your daughter is safe. Okay. All right. So the current order is going to remain in effect, and I'd like everybody back here on February 22nd at 9
And it'll be 9 a.m. again.
9 a.m. again. Right.
Okay.
Are you losing work by being here, Mr. Wilson?
Yeah, I clocked out for my lunch at 9 o'clock and I sat here on the computer.
Okay. Let me, if I remember this, hopefully I will try to call your case first next time, because I know you've been waiting a while today and the other days, and it's just kind of how the case numbers line up. I'll try to call your case first so that you can be out fairly. Okay.
I appreciate it.
I'll make a note of that as well, Your Honor.
Okay. And I have no problem with you chiming in and reminding me that I was going to take your case first if I forget. Okay.
All right. I appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate all the work that both of you are putting in at this point. And I would say keep it up, and we'll check in again on the 22nd of February.
Just one quick question, just for the benefit of it. If I was to call Caitlin when I was picking up Kiara on my way home, and Caitlin was off work, and I was like, hey, can I let you see Kiara for a minute? Could we try it for Caitlin's benefit? Or
you'd be present also?
I would be present. I can't say anyone else would be there. I mean, because I would be me coming home with Kiara, so it's just me and her.
if you want to try that, I don't have, from my perspective, I don't have a problem. But what I remember is that you had a pretty contentious relationship. So if it gets to that point, if you start down the road where you're going to have an argument, then it needs to end at that before it gets out of hand. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. But otherwise, I don't have a problem with you doing that. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Kimball Wilson, but I didn't want to set over. I was just gonna speak up because you told me last time I could be first in the docket.
Yep, I got your case circled. I was going to call it first, so let's do that now. Caitlin Steyer and Kimball Wilson. Is Caitlin Steyer there? Let me get to your last time we were here, we were looking at needing a hair follicle test from Caitlin Steyer. And if that had come in, we were going to look at increasing the amount of visits or the time of the visits.
Your Honor, this is Beth Fellows, and I am here on behalf of the GAL Ann Height, who is out of town this week. So she asked me to stand in for her and give the court the information that you are looking for.
Okay. Do you want to go ahead right now and then
Sure.
Parties?
She said that the hair follicle test was not done and an oral swab was on January 20th. It showed positive for meth and amphetamine. The mother also did an SUD assessment on that same date, and intensive is recommended.
Intensive what?
Intensive outpatient.
Outpatient. Okay.
Yes. One of the concerns that was brought up during the assessment was her last drug use of meth. She said it was in July of 2022, which with the oral swab test, it is unknown if a new grief counselor has been found, because that was also an issue.
Ms. Fellows, you're breaking up a little bit. I just wanted to let you know.
Okay. Visitation has been going good with Karen Dykstra, who is the supervising, but mom's work schedule has changed recently. So she's been only able to make one visit a week. The dad has dropped by with Kiara a couple of times at mom's home, and dad had reported to the GAL that it's been going okay. So the GAL, Ms. Height, is recommending keeping the visit time status quo, and that basically because of the substance use outpatient, intensive outpatient being recommended, that everything remains status quo.
Okay.
She did in place.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Wilson, let's hear from you first.
I graduated.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was gonna say I went and I did the parenting class at Parents' Place. I didn't know what to do with my certificate. It's at home. I told Ann that I did that. So, towards everything else you guys wanted, I don't know if there's anything else I was supposed to be doing.
Okay. Why don't you at some point, and you could send it in, file the certificate in this case. You put a cover sheet on it with the case caption and the case number, and just send it to the clerk's office and they'll file it. And you could do a copy if you want to keep the original. Okay. All right. Thank you. Ms. Steyer, anything you want to contribute? Ms. Steyer, are you here? Not hearing from her. I thought she was the Samsung. Okay. Ms. Steyer? Thank you for that update. The court is obviously concerned about what appears to be current meth use that's still going on. And because of that, I think maintaining status quo, which is supervised visits, is the best course at this point. As a condition of increasing those visits, Ms. Steyer will need to comply with the intensive outpatient treatment. I'm not going to say that she needs to complete that outpatient treatment before I increase visitation, but I need to know that she's well along and that she's in compliance with it. So I think what we need to do is put this over another month to get that treatment going and see how she's doing, and then we can reevaluate whether the visitation can increase at that time. So that's going to be on today's the 22nd, so we'll put it over to March 22nd.
March 22nd at 9.
At 9 o'clock. And sir, if you have a work obligation, just let me know. We'll try to take you early on. Okay.
Yeah, I'll be at work. I can already tell you.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. Fellows. Let's go to Steyer and Wilson. I see Mr. Wilson's here.
Yeah.
Is Caitlin Steyer here?
Your Honor, I did call her and heard back that she was going to try to get on, but I don't see her here.
She's not in the waiting room.
Okay.
So my records showed it looked like the mother was having one visit per week that was supervised. There was a recent test that required SUD, intensive outpatient treatment. Do you know if she's been receiving that, Ms. Hyatt?
I do not, Your Honor. I've not heard from her, and I found nothing in Odyssey.
Mr. Wilson, do you know if Ms. Steyer's been going to treatment?
I honestly do not know. I know she should have got her parenting class taken care of, I believe.
All right. Well, Mr. Wilson, is you're doing the primary care for your child right now?
Yes.
Like one visit per week to Ms. Steyer. Is that going okay for you?
You actually said it was 2 visits a week.
Okay.
And it's, yeah.
Well, because I think where we're at is, I don't know that we need to keep coming back here. We're not getting compliance by Ms. Steyer with what I need in order to increase her visitation or to move it from supervised to unsupervised. And until she can show that she's doing the outpatient treatment, I'm not going to make a change. So I think what I'm going to do is, I guess, not set a review date at this point. And if there's a change where she engages in treatment and wants to come to court in order to get additional visits, she can do that. But at this point, I've been putting this case off, every couple weeks or every month, hoping to see that she engages in treatment, and then I can make some adjustments. But I just don't see that happening. Ms. Height, do you have any thoughts at this point?
That seems the best course at this point, Your Honor. There just hasn't been very much movement. And at this point, I believe their daughter is in a safe place, and that's the best thing for her at this time.
Okay. So, Mr. Wilson, I'm not going to set another review date. And if you want to let Ms. Steyer know if she engages in treatment and wants to bring that to the attention of the court, then I will certainly consider a different visitation schedule.
Can I go to the courthouse and get a copy of that in paper, like from the courthouse? Because I don't think she's gonna believe me if I say it to her.
Okay, that's fair. If you want to wait a couple days, what I usually do is type up what I call a bench order and file it in the case. I'm going to need to prepare that.
No, that's fine, but I can grab one in a couple days.
It may be as late as Friday before I get that completed. So maybe if you come next week, you'll be able to get a copy of it. Okay.
Okay. And do I keep her visits the same?
Keep the visits the same. They should be, if they're 2 a week, they should be supervised. That's fine.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Ms. Steyer, I think you have just joined us. You want to unmute yourself?
Yes, I'm here.
Ms. Steyer, I called the case already, and I wanted to check in with you, though. Have you started treatment, substance abuse treatment?
So I haven't been able to make it to the court office to actually know what was said last court hearing. I tried asking Kimball. He didn't really tell me much. So I didn't know what I was supposed to be, what the new regulations were. I did complete the family class though from the court hearing before then. So I do have the certificate. I just haven't been able to turn it in yet.
Why don't you file that with the court clerk? They can put it in this case file. So right now, apparently you're having supervised visits with your child twice a week. That's what I understand. Before I modify that, I want to know that you're getting treatment that was recommended for you. And that's apparently outpatient treatment. So once you start that, if you want to change the visitation from where it currently is, then file a motion with the court that you want to change and attach some record that you've been attending that treatment. And I will, at that point, consider how to modify the visitation. Okay. All right. And that's what I told Mr. Wilson. And so at this point, it's kind of in your court to get the treatment and then bring it back to court for me to modify things. All right?
All right.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Steyer.
Thank you.